Hi, this is Lada from Astrolada.com, and today I'm here with siderial ancient astrologer who actually uses Vedic astrology and uses the ancient Greek, ancient Babylonian, ancient Egyptian astrology, Trifon Nikolov, with your monthly horoscope for the lunar month, which started now in February the 19th or something till March the 20th or something like that. Hi.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Hi. The lunar month, in fact, it began on 16.
Oh, okay.
A couple of days ago.
Okay.
So the lunar month began on 16 according to the rules of ancient astrologers from Mesopotamia. Countries like Sumer and Babylon.
Oh, yes, the eclipse was on the 15th, so the moon must have been visible on the 16th already.
Yes.
Yeah.
According to Western astrology, the new moon was the day before. And in Western astrology today, they consider it to be the first day of the lunar month. But in the ancient tradition, the lunar month begins with the first visibility of the moon, which is somehow around after sunset, when the first crescent of the moon can be seen. After the day, usually the day after the conjunction of the sun and the moon, astrologically. And
when
this
does it become visible?
This is reflected by religious traditions today. For example, in the Orthodox Church and in the Judaism, the day begin at sunset, not sunrise, according to those ancient religious traditions. And you can see here why. Because they inherited the knowledge, even if they today don't know this. I'm suspicious about it. But according to the religious traditions, this is the explanation coming from ancient priests from Mesopotamia.
Okay, so the lunar month.
So the month began with the first visibility of the moon. And what is important then? It was important what can be seen. And this month it was very fruitful because the first visibility of the moon coincide more or less with a couple of days with the first visibility of Venus. So the day when the moon became visible, it was very close to the new Venus. So the moon appeared with Venus, and these two factors, the first visibility of the moon and the new visible Venus that became visible around 4 or 5 days before that, around 10th of February.
It was a bit late, 3 days.
I think it's a very important and it's a good sign, definitely, for the month. The moon was with Venus. So, of course, we expect a month that is full with the qualities of Venus, which are more harmony, more love in general for the world. And of course, Venus rules also financial matters, so it's a good sign also about the economics in general. For the world, not for Wall Street. This is different.
Okay. Can you comment on something, the shooting that happened on the eclipse?
Can you repeat?
The shooting that happened on the day of the eclipse in Florida, because it was over the moon of the states, which is the people.
So there was a solar eclipse. There was also a eclipse of the moon, and they were visible in that part of the world, Americas, not in Europe. And generally, this is the reason why there was definitely much more bad things happen there in that period. It's called something like a path between the eclipses from some astrologers. So eclipses were the reason.
It fell very close to the moon of the states, and it was triggered. The moon, as you said, is the people, so the people suffered.
Yes, I thought I said about this in the previous.
Yes, I remember that.
So the eclipse close to the moon of US, of course, it causes some very bad things to happen. The moon is, as you say, the common people. Eclipses are causing lack of consciousness, even madness to someone. And the result can be extreme violence.
Yes, that's when people lose it a bit, yeah. Especially if they encounter.
Also, the reason is because let's explain more. The degree of the moon of the US is in fact the place where one planet is exalted. And this is the place of the exaltation of the planet Mars. So it means that the eclipse was close to the place of exaltation of Mars, and of course it foretold violence. Especially for the states, because their moon is in that place. So this is the explanation. So, of course, this threatens the future months for US with negative energy connected with the planet Mars. But maybe this is something somehow usual for the strongest country. But whatever, definitely in US, they must be much more concerned about security in general. Whatever, I wanted to make an accent upon the Venus influence about this month, not about Mars. So Venus will influence with its rays all the time until the middle of March, when the next lunar month will be. So we will enjoy the energies of love, harmony, and friendship, because the new visibility of the moon was in the sign of friendship, and social groups in general, Aquarius, constellation of Aquarius. So, a good month, but you will see also it's very rich in events. So let's say some more things. First, today, something that is called Phase of Mercury began. This is because All the month Mercury is invisible, which is bad for the people that are ruled by Mercury, like journalists, writers, all kinds of traders. And for many common people that are ruled by this planet. In fact, when Mercury disappeared, a very famous writer died. It is Ursula Le Guin.
When did Mercury disappear last?
Yes, almost on the day
But
of disappearing. It was, I think it was 20th of January.
So it's been, okay. So like a month it's been invisible.
Definitely. So, but around between 26th and 28th, depending on where you live, Mercury will appear in the sky. Ancients considered that 7 days before appearance of a planet and 7 days after, those days are somehow ruled by the planet that will appear. So we are now already in the days of Mercury, so we can expect events connected with him. So, for example, some shaking about the trading in general. We can expect changes of prices, so this is good to know for the stock markets, because before when he disappeared, there was troubles exactly on those days. So now again we can expect something like that, but maybe the price will go higher this time, not lower. Okay. And the trade will become more stable for a time, let's say 2-3 weeks.
While Mercury is visible.
Yes, yes. And so, of course, we are expecting the appearance of Mercury, and this will be excellent time for beginning new ventures, intellectual ventures. Excellent time for someone to begin a writing of a book or to start a new website around 27, 28 in general. I propose, if someone has such idea, to make it on 2nd of March. 2nd of March, and later I will say why. And so.
Would you say that websites and software and such things are also ruled by Mercury if you want to launch a website or something like that?
Yes, but around 2nd of March. Don't do it on 27, 28, because there will be big troubles if you do it. Why? Because Mercury will appear in an aspect with one planet. And this planet is Mars, and the aspect is negative, is a square.
Yes.
So around 27th, 28th, when he appears, we can expect the bad side of Mercury. So, in general, these are more dangerous days for traveling. There are, of course, possibilities of violence and terrorist acts because Mars is in Scorpio. And it is said that Mercury accepts the nature of the planet with whom it is in aspect. So Mercury will become like a second Mars in his appearance around that day. So when he appears, we can expect major accidents. You will see it in the news with different kinds of vehicles, even big ones.
Because should people generally be careful when driving and flying and stuff?
Even trains, for example. Because the sign is fixed. The sign is fixed, and the fixed signs, they are big, so to say. So, not exactly these days, but a couple of days later, when Mercury will change sign, he will enter the next sign, Pisces. And on the 2nd of March, he will be in conjunction with exalted Venus, which is quite different situations than with the appearance. And at the same time, he will still be in the days that he is ruling. So as you can see, there is a fine difference before the end of February and the beginning of March. The difference between the good influence of Mercury and bad influence. Bad influence is in the end of February.
Can we say also that it's more likely people will be fighting and arguing Mercury-Mars when it's rising around the 26th, 27th, 20, the last week of February, that people
Yes, you're right. There will be a lot of social troubles.
And in the personal life of people,
society can shake somehow. Society can shake somehow, and it is exactly upon matters connected with freedom and democracy, because Mercury is appearing in this sign, the sign of democracy, Aquarius, in a square with malefic planet in the sign of politics, Scorpio, Mars in Scorpio. So we can expect social even clashes around that time.
What about in one's personal life, those last days of February? Can you just notice just more arguments overall, attacks, verbal?
Definitely, you are right. You're right.
So we're already feeling
a lot of nerves, conflicts, even lies.
Breaking your phones and such kind of communication devices.
Yes, don't make any contracts. Don't sign contracts around this time. They will be very problematic.
Yes. I'm noticing in communications that people are becoming more angry and kind of attacking more. We're already in phase of Mercury, so probably slowly one can feel it.
Yes, but in general, the gooder news, because the time when Mercury is weak is about to end. So in general, but from the beginning of March, we will enjoy the influence of Mercury. And this is better communication, trade, and social contacts. So there will be interesting days because of Mercury. So I can say that because of those aspects, this lunar month is the month of Mercury and Venus. Because of this, it can be said that this month is a month of spirituality. Because according to the ancients, when Mercury and Venus combine, they produce fine arts like music, literature, and of course the fine arts, they are a result of spirituality. So it's in general good month for spiritual development and activities. Good month for the creative people. So also other things will happen in that direction. On 23rd of February, after 2 days, the Sun will be in conjunction with a strong, even not one, but two, with two very strong spiritual stars. So those days, next couple of days, are very strong about everything that someone wants to achieve on psychological level, on spiritual level, to change the things for good inside, to make some meditation, to make something connected with spirituality. Especially 23rd is very, very powerful day about those things. Because on the same day, not only the Sun is with those spiritual stars, but also Venus is in a very special place in the sky that was considered sacred by the ancients. So we have two very strong influences in that direction at the same time, in the same day. Venus will be in that part of the sky that is considered to be the river of life, the water that is brought by the water bearer, Aquarius. So it's also a good day about healing.
Spiritual healing, yeah, higher knowledge.
Yes, whatever. Even though that the month is connected with Mercury and Venus, it's not so good as you can see for signing contracts and in this way for marriages, because of the aspects that Mercury and Venus will make in some days with Mars. Squares. We have squares.
February.
Yes, on 25th of February, we have this bad aspect between Venus and Mars.
Yeah, it's first.
So around that time, of course, people that are ruled by Venus and maybe the financial world, because of the upcoming appearance of Mercury, planet of trade. So we can expect difficulties in love matters and in financial matters in general.
So the end of February.
End of February, yes, it's not so pleasant.
And women generally might feel a bit more stressed and angry. People that are ruled by Venus, like Taurus and Libra.
Yes, it will be days to resolve problems, so to say, because they will appear.
Mm-hmm.
So also let's say that Mercury will appear exactly in that place where Venus will be, the sacred place. So next month in general, March, it's because of this good month about developing and learning more spiritual information. And who knows, maybe some mystical things can happen to those who deserve it.
Healings.
Yes, for example.
Receiving answers from above.
Yeah, and let's say that because this month Venus appeared, it was in general the end of the bad time for women, especially the young women, because the last 2 months, from 10th of December until 10th of February, they were, as I saw it with my own eyes in many cases, they were in generally in bad condition psychologically, and even about their health in many cases.
Yeah.
But now all they are saying that they're feeling better because, of course, they don't know it, but Venus appeared in the sky, so they are stronger now inside. So in general, yeah. So in general, Venus will remain visible for many months for this year. So the women in general are becoming stronger, and they will feel better, including about love matters.
Except the last few days of February when Venus square Mars, so there might be some fights.
Yeah. So on 2nd of March, while I'm talking about Venus, on 2nd of March, Venus will enter the constellation of Pisces. And this is the constellation where Venus is exalted. So we will, because of this, start to feel even more her power. But until around 20th of March, this power still will be somehow restricted because Saturn is making a square aspect to Pisces this year. Saturn is posited in Sagittarius. The exact square of Venus with Saturn will be 13th of March. So the days around this day are not so good about, let's say, marriage or beginning a new relationship. Avoid if you can such things around this day.
Around the 13th of March.
But after around 20th of March, she will move away from that aspect and still being very strong and exalted. Then we have the excellent time about love and marriage. After, so, New Spring Day. After New Spring Day.
After the first day of spring, yeah.
Yes, around that time. We can say even April and the months after.
So don't fall in love before, guys. Wait till the first day of spring.
Yes, this can be very important for some of you. So there are many other important events. So we know already about the conjunction of Mercury with Venus between 2nd and 4th, especially 3rd and 4th of March. But we will have also other event, and this is the entering of Mars into the sign of Sagittarius and the forming alliance between Mars and Saturn from that moment until the beginning of May. So from, I think, 8th of March, well, the day of the woman, International Day of the Woman, Mars is entering Sagittarius and it will be in one sign with Saturn. So this is, for example, creates difficulties for around maybe 1/4 of all the people in the world. Because first, those that are ruled by Saturn, which is the signs Aquarius and Capricorn, and those that are ruled by Mars, the signs Aries and Scorpio, I mean sidereal signs, of course, they will have definitely more moral dilemmas and conflicts in that time. And of course, this is because every one of us has Scorpio, Aries, Capricorn, and Aquarius in his horoscope, which is that those signs are ruling certain areas of life. So four signs are 1/3, in fact, 1/3 of all the signs. So 1/3 of the areas of life for everyone, absolutely everyone in the world will be affected by this conjunction. So the time for speaking the truth, even harshly, fighting for the truth, and also facing lies, deceiving, and consecutively arising conflicts because of immorality that will be seen because of this conjunction. So all those things will arise. So in general, for the honesty, the principles in almost every respect and aspect in life, this will happen to, I can say, everyone. In March and in April, we will speak again about this. And of course, Mars enters the sign of Spain, Sagittarius, the country that I already predicted, and it happens that we'll have troubles. And of course, this shows intensifying of difficulties in Spain for those 2 months.
Because the two malefics in their constellation.
Yes. Ptolemy, ancient astrologer, lived in Egypt under the rulership of the Roman Empire. He has access to the library in Alexandria. So he says, because he read it in the ancient manuscripts, that's Iberia Peninsula is ruled by Sagittarius. So we have Saturn and Mars in the sign of Spain and Portugal. Portugal also suffered a lot with heavy fires throughout the last year and other troubles. So again, similar things. And so I cannot stop, so to say, those news because they are there in the sky. So exactly on the next day, 9th of March, Jupiter will make his morning station, which means that the first half of March is somehow influenced by Jupiter too. So this is not bad. This is adding for the good influence coming from Venus to the month. And it means, no matter of those other influences, that the combined influences from Jupiter and Venus will make much more happiness in the world in many directions. But also it is true that in that moment, Jupiter becomes retrograde planet. So he will be very strong for a time, for the first half of March, extremely strong planet, but also he turns his gaze to the inner world and he is leaving the material world, which means that after that, for a couple of months, we will not receive so much of his beneficence, because he will holding it back, trying to make us understand what is those things that can make us develop our lives. So Jupiter, so everyone is talking about Mercury retrograde and so on. It becomes a banality, but Jupiter becoming retrograde is, I think, even more important. More important because it shows in which months of the year we will not receive so much as we expected. For example, in the house where Jupiter is transiting, for everyone, the results on material level will be restricted for that time. So Jupiter will be retrograde until July. So this means that in general, you can expect the best results for the year after that and not before that. But whatever, the station of Jupiter again shows that it is a very important time about spirituality and about development of inner qualities for everyone. This month is something like a golden age, mini golden age for spirituality. Jupiter and Venus and Mercury combined in influences, it's not something that happens every day, definitely. So for the bad days of the month, these are the days between 8 and, I can say, 13 of March. these are the worst days. It is because the moon is being in Scorpio, in a difficult sign for her, and later she will be between Mars and Saturn, which is called something like a siege in ancient terms. And right after that we have Venus square Saturn, so don't make important things between 8 and 13 of March. They will prove to be disastrous. They will have bad results. Definitely. Of course, these are also the days when we can have more troubles on mundane level. So every kind of difficulties can be expected for the world in those days, because it's not something that happens very often, that the moon is between very close to the malefic planets, Saturn and Mars, and at the same time being close to malefic stars. So I can predict difficulties in the Near East and in Spain in that days, and also in other places, of course. Even violence. And later, we will arrive for the end of the month. This will be the last day of the lunar month, I mean. Will be 16th. Then the moon is disappearing, it is waning, and it is disappearing from the sky. So 16th also is a difficult day. Also the day that has to be avoided for important events. So plan your time accordingly, of course. Other days that I don't mention to be bad, of course, these are the good days. So there is something good also that is happening, and it's already happened in the sky, and I talked about this in previous videos, in the previous months. In the sky there was a fearful combination. In India they call it Kavasarpa dosha. This is formed when all the planets are on only one side of the nodes, the head and tail of the dragon. So if all the planets are on only one side from this axis called the nodes, then in ancient times they considered this time to be a time of great difficulties for the world, wars, cruelty, and so on. But now the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, they cut off this situation because they go on the other side. And so now for around 6 months, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus will not allow such bad configuration to exist. So in general, this adds for less cruelty and unhappiness for the world for the next 6 months. So these are the good news. Before 2 weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, I think this happened. And so even when we have to talk about Saturn and Mars, because they exist, remember that my first words was about Venus. So this month is seeing the developing of energies of Venus and Mercury, and also Jupiter. So in general, this is one of the best months for the entire year.
Oh,
Definitely. Yes.
good to hear that.
Yes. Yes. And of course, this is most important for the common people. So I think you will enjoy a lot of good things, all of you, this month because of the influence of Venus.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Which months shouldn't I give birth, and which days should I avoid giving birth?
maybe you already know. 3rd, 4th of March, we have conjunction of Mercury and Venus.
That'd be good to give birth then.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Not on the 13th, baby stain.
13, yes, there are between 8 and 13. There are those configurations. Only if you have some karma, then someone can be born, and then he will have some more difficult task to make it.
I'm on the easy life.
Yeah.
I hear enough of hard karmas every day from clients. Sometimes it makes you feel, when you're an astrologer, when you hear those stories, you just think life is awful.
I think that maybe around the conjunction of Mercury and Venus, this can happen for you because you have important influence from these planets.
I hope so.
We'll see.
Anyway, so the new moon is after that on the 16th or 17th, is it? Something like that.
Yes, yes. The first visibility of the moon probably will be around 18.
Yes, 18.
18, and this will be the time for the new prediction for the next month.
And when the moon is invisible, which is around the 15th, 16th, 17th, it's
Yes,
not good to start new things.
between 16 and 18 in ancient times and today, they thought that it was not good to do anything important. You just have to rest, meditate in any way, not starting new things, because it's a day of ending and not of beginning.
Yes. It's the end of a lunar phase, yeah. Dark moon.
Dark moon. The invisibility of the moon means somehow weakness an emotional and material level. So definitely stay without much action that days.
These are my due dates. Awful. And the moon is invisible. I'll induce it earlier. I'll push it. Sorry for involving personal things.
Don't worry. Even if God desires, even on those days, there can be excellent configurations. For example, Jupiter right on the ascendant of some beneficial star.
Yeah.
For a birth of a child, I mean. Yes. So.
For a few minutes, for a few hours, it can open a window.
Depends on your configurations and karma, of course.
Yes, because they say if you're born on a new moon or when the sun is conjunct moon, your mom dies because the moon is invisible. So I'll try to avoid that.
Yeah, it's not something to smile upon, definitely. But this is more important in the cycles of the personal horoscope.
Yeah.
So.
Perfect. I have my graph for March here.
Okay.
Thank you so much for leading us through that. And if anyone wants a reading with Trifon Nikolov through ancient Vedic and ancient Babylonian astrology, this is using constellations. The signs will be very different than tropical astrology. You can contact him. I'm putting a link below. You see, he's an amazing astrologer. Yeah, and thank you so much. We'll see you on the next lunar month.
Thank you all for watching us. So I'll be here again next time.
Thank you for the amazing knowledge again, Trifon. Have a wonderful Venus month ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Spiritual insights, as you said. It's going to be one of the better months of the year. And thank you everyone for watching us. Bye-bye.
Bye.